My favorite memory about Jesse is that he lived every day 100 miles an hour. He was fearless in everything he did. Whether it was going up for a football in middle school against people 3 times his size, or being behind a wakeboard and having only wakeboarded for just a few weeks, he was already trying to do crazy tricks and get insane air. Jesse did everything full speed, and it showed up in his relationships too. He treated all his friends very special, and he gave those 100% in everything he did. Jesse was someone who I try to mimic my life after. Take no days for granted and live every day to its max.
My favorite memory of Jesse is me, Jesse, and Leonard going to Alabama game day in Tuscaloosa, and Leonard getting us into Bryant-Denny using fake staff passes that he had made.
One of my favorite things about Jesse was his joy and enthusiasm. That boy always had a smile on his face. He was always hyped about doing something, just couldn't wait. Had a enthusiasm and a zest for life, and I'm so glad that he did, because when he was around us, it gave us that same joy and enthusiasm. He is and was a blessing, and we were thrilled to know him.
My favorite thing about Jesse Witt, he was always like that mentor, that older guy that you looked up to, and he always treated me and Cade like we were like a little brother to him. I'll never forget playing football or basketball in front of Lee Acres and going to the lake. Jesse introduced me to Lil Wayne. I'll never forget that. I feel like I carry a piece of Jesse with me every single day. And I know he would be proud of me right now. Huge Alabama fan, competitive. I absolutely love Jesse. He made everything more fun. Spending all the Christmases together, and just everything that our families have gone through over the years. Jesse has just been a part of it. And I just still carry his fun-loving spirit with me every day. So Jesse Witt, you'll forever be in my heart.
I think back to the time I met Jesse. I believe it had to have been my freshman year at football practice. I didn't know it then, but I now know that moment was one of the most impactful in my life. Jesse had the most infectious personality, his smile, his laughter. There was never a dull moment to be had when spending any time with Jesse. I think about him often. I miss him dearly. I do still have a pair of his shorts that he either let me borrow or left at my house one time. Keep them at the top of my drawer that I open every morning and every night. So just a constant reminder of my dear friend. I know it's kind of silly to think that a pair of shorts have such impact, but they do. I like to think of where he'd be today, how successful he'd be. Wonder if he'd be proud of me, because I'm sure proud of him. Just really the best friend anyone could ask for. Always there when you needed him, and even when you didn't, he was trying to find a way to support you any way that he could. Jesse, I love you. Jade, Miss Sheila, Mr. Leonard, I love you as well. I know I don't call as much as I should, but just want you to know how much Jesse's friendship means to me, how much your all friendship means to me, and just a big hole in my heart that I'm trying to fill.
So my favorite thing about Jesse is how much he loved his friends. He was always there for you no matter what happened, but he was always the first person to tell you when you messed up, and he would also help you pick up the pieces.
Yeah, he was never afraid to tell you if you were in the wrong in a situation. He would,
a lot.
He would be there for you and support you, but he would definitely tell you if you were in the wrong. But I absolutely love and miss his infectious laugh. he would start laughing and everyone would join in, and you couldn't help, no matter what the situation was, whether it was serious or not, or if you were sad, you couldn't help but join in.
Always got in trouble at class.
Yeah.
Did want to share some the most precious memory that I have of sweet Jesse, and it is that he gave the best hugs. When I really get lonely, I can think about Jesse and his hugs, and I can just hear him saying to this day, after all these years, when he looks up and sees me, he would say, "Granny K," and I can still hear him. And when his little voice began to change when he was 12, that Granny K got real deep. And I can hear that in my mind still to this day and feel those wonderful, wonderful, abundant hugs. He was just one of the loves of my life, like all of you are.
Hey, it's Matthew Amon here. I think probably my favorite thing about Jesse was his fearlessness and eagerness to live life to the fullest. I think that's what made people naturally gravitate towards him, and that's actually why, I was drawn to him and we became best friends initially. I could tell countless stories. We have a lot of good memories, but there's one thing that always stuck out to me. When we were at some fair or something, I was with Jesse and his parents. We were young teenagers, and right when we got there, of course, Jesse wanted to go straight to the rock climbing wall. So we had a lot of competition, so I was determined to beat him as usual. And then we got there, and he, absolutely scampered up it quick as lightning, and I was just left in the dust, awed by his bravery. But one thing I'll never forget, even though I was a young teenager, still never forget it, was how proud Leonard was as he rewatched that video with Jesse just climbing up, scampering up that thing. But Jesse will always be remembered, and I carry a piece of him everywhere with me on my keys, piece of his truck.
One of my favorite things about Jesse was his ability to make you feel included. When you were with Jesse, you knew that you were a part of something. You were caught up on the story that he was telling, you were in on the joke that he was cracking, or you were just a part of the Witt family. Truly, Jesse had an incredible gift to make everyone feel pursued and known and loved. What an incredible man. We miss you, Jesse.
Hey, I'm Kason. I'm Jesse's friend, and my favorite thing about Jesse is his confidence. Every time I was around him before, every room he walked into, he was confident, always wearing a smile.
My name is JP, and I was a childhood friend of Jesse. My favorite thing about Jesse was just his smile and his positive attitude that he brought, and the positive energy that he gave to everyone that he was around. We started at Trace Crossing around the same time, a new church, and ever since then our bond was so strong. I always admired how Jesse was able to make people feel important and wanted, and just brought that positive energy and smile to everyone's face, and I always admired that about him. Jade, I'm so proud of you. Can't wait to hear this, and I know Jesse's proud of you too. Love y'all.
My favorite memory of Jesse had to be when he was about 5 years old. He had come out of his room, and I was visiting with him at the time, and he come out crying and saying, Daddy, my TV's broke, my TV broke. So me and Leonard went in there to see what was wrong, and it was a black and white movie. There was nothing wrong with the TV. The young man just hadn't seen a black and white movie before, or at least hadn't realized it, I guess. I know we really can't pray for the dead, but we can certainly praise God for allowing these people to be in our lives. And I'm certainly thankful that Jesse was part of mine.
Super excited for Jade's album. I know it's going to be awesome. I just remember being young and in church with Jesse, and he always wanted to include you, and make you feel like you were a part, even though he was a little bit older than me. He always treated me like family, and more importantly, he treated me like a little brother. So, looking forward to the album, and I'm excited to hear it.
I'm Marita, and one of the things that I most loved about Jesse Witt, there were lots of things. He was a precious young man, but when he was just a little boy, we got to know their family, and he always would engage in conversation. And for a young child, it was amazing, some of the conversations that we had, and that, I think, is the one thing that stands out the most about Jesse.
And I'm Bill, and I love me some Jesse Witt. And he loved me, and we spent hours and hours of time together, years, and just hanging out, whether we were throwing the football or skiing or whatever we were doing, we were always having a great time. And Jesse was always the energy in the room, no matter where we were. And he was just awesome to be around.
My favorite thing about Jesse was that he was big. He had a big personality. He loved big. He had tons of friends. He just was the person that when he walked into a room, the place lit up, and it had a completely different feeling to it. And that's my favorite thing, and that's the thing I miss 12 years later is just him, his personality, and the way he carried himself, and the way he made everyone feel important.
My favorite thing about Jesse was his attitude towards life and his ability to make friends with anybody, anywhere, no matter what the circumstance was. And no matter what he was doing, he was going to have a good time doing it.
Jesse was my best friend growing up. I always admire how he poured his heart into everything, whether it be at church. He led the pack of a group of boys with that worship. Too, on the football field, he was always a guy I could count on that if I threw a pass his way, if it was within reach, he was going to catch it. I have some fond memories of us in the 8th grade playing football together, and one pass he got was outrageous. He poured his heart in everything with his family. He loved his parents and his sister, and he loved his friends. If we were at a lake and there was a cliff that we were all scared of going on, well, Jesse would be the first one to go. And not only that, he'd also do a backflip off of it. And I'll just always miss the way he lived life, which was jump right in and do it to the max extent possible. And I do love him and I miss him.
There's many moments hanging out with Jesse that I can kind of remember. They're crazy and fun and, being young and dumb, but there's one moment that I can't remember who it was. It was either like me and John Forrest or me and River or something. We all went with Jesse, or went to Jesse's little wakeboarding thing, and he was going down, this like lake, and it was going so fast, and he like hit the wake, and he did like almost a 360, and he came back down, he like crashed. And I was just like, man, that's so cool. Like, this guy's awesome, you know what I mean? And it was just nice to kind of see somebody do something so crazy, because the guy was a crazy athletic. And, talking to him later on that afternoon, it was just cool to, like, express to him, like, how cool he was. And, like, that was just awesome to see. And, he, like, looked at me and he's like, Jeffrey, dude, you're cool too. I'm glad we're hanging out. And I was just like, what? I'm like 9th or 10th grade hanging out with a senior. And it was just nice to hear that from somebody that I thought was so cool. And, that might sound goofy to a lot of people, but I don't care. That was just one of my most favorite moments with them. And there's a couple other times that we would spend together where it was just me and him, and it was just nice to talk to him, especially somebody that I thought was really, really just a cool dude. And it's just nice to think that he thought the same of me at moments. So, yeah, that's probably my most favorite time with Jesse. And if I could go on for an hour or so, I probably could say about 10, 20 other different times too, but that one's probably my most favorite.
Hayes, you want to go first?
My favorite memory of Jesse was just that every time I saw him, He always noticed me and always was one who said something to me, probably more than my older brothers, maybe more than my mom, but it just meant a lot to me when I was younger, and just always seeing him smiling just made everybody's mood better.
That's a good one. I guess mine would be, I've been thinking about this for about a week, and I had too many, so I tried to narrow it down. One would be when I was teaching him, I think 3rd grade in Sunday school class, and his favorite Bible story he told me was the Transfiguration, which I thought was pretty advanced for his age, which tells you how much Sheila and Leonard poured the word into him. And then again, Frolic Friday, Baby Hayes, we love you.
Love you, Jesse.
Hey, I'm Uncle Doug, and Jesse made me Uncle Doug. He's my oldest nephew. We spent a lot of time together with Jesse and Jade when they were young because my 2 kids are about the same age and they're all grown now. The best memories I have of Jesse, though, are when we were deer hunting. Jesse became my little hunting partner. We hunted hard every chance we had. That's the last place I got to see Jesse before the accident. I wouldn't trade those memories for anything. Jesse killed 2 8-points that trip. We were so proud, and we still have them hanging at the hunting club. I still hunt there today. I'm so proud of Jade for the song she's singing and paying tribute to Jesse. And she's ripping my heart out with them, but at the same time building my heart up with the joy and pride I have for her as my niece and for her of what her life's become. I still talk to Jesse every day, especially when I'm in the woods hunting. I ask him what he thinks. I ask him if he's proud of what I'm doing, and I know he is. Jade, love you. Thanks for all you're doing.
Hey, my name is Andrew Clark, and some of my favorite memories of Jesse was being at the boardsmith shop, putting together boards, cleaning, making sure we had enough light, to go out after to get out on the water and go do a little boarding. But thinking back, Jesse was always the one to bring the hype and bring the energy, so it was hard keeping up with him. But some of my favorite memories and the best times of my life was back in the summers, riding together, hanging out together, really trying to progress and being our better self. So I miss you a lot, Jesse. It's been 12 years, and I think about it a lot. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but if I knew you were here with us now, you would be married with kids and calling ourselves old men. So
I'm Mary.
And I'm Biscuit.
And we both grew up with Jesse, so there are tons of stories or memories we could share. But my very favorite thing about Jesse was we always had fun together, and he always made me feel super loved, like part of his family.
My favorite thing about Jesse, we were always having a good time, whether it was fishing or riding dirt bikes or whatever. He just always made everything fun.
I have a lot of things that I loved about Jesse Witt. A lot. A long list. In fact, it's hard to narrow it down. But one of my favorite things about Jesse was that he was genuinely a curious kid. He wanted to learn about anything we were doing, whether it was church related, dog training, motorcycles, wakeboarding, or just whatever anyone else was doing. Jesse had the type of personality where he wanted to ask questions, he wanted to learn about whatever it was, and he made you feel like whatever it was you were doing was important because he wanted to be a part of it as well. I miss him a lot.
So the memory about Jesse that first comes to mind was probably about 5th grade. I was in a church musical and had I guess a pretty big part in it. And Jesse, after church, came over to me and told me how impressed he was that I was able to learn all those lines. And Jesse was a super cool older kid, and
that just meant a lot to me as being an elementary school kid, and Jesse taking time to come and compliment me, even though it was something he probably wasn't that interested in. But I will always remember just how kind and intentional he was to give me like words of encouragement throughout my childhood.
Hey, this is John Forrest. My favorite thing about Jesse was that he was always going to have your back no matter what. No matter what he was going through or what he was dealing with, you could always count on him to be there for you. I think that's one of the best qualities that a person can have.
I think if I could pick one word to describe Jesse, I think that the word would be joyful. I picked that word because I think that it just describes how he lived his life and who he was as a person. He found joy in everything that he did, whether he was doing something really big or whether it was something really small. There was always something positive in that moment, and he really cherished that, and he really just always had a good time doing whatever he was doing. He always was going to have a smile on his face. He was always going to greet you with a big hug, and you would for sure share a lot of laughs whenever you were around him. I'm not sure that anybody ever didn't have laughs with him or everyone was not greeted with a big smile. He just lit up the whole room. He loved to keep everybody entertained. He loved to keep everybody laughing, and he just really loved people. I think that just says a lot about who he was as a friend. He was the greatest friend that anybody could have ever had. Always taking care of others, always checking in on others, always trying to do whatever he could do to help others whenever it wasn't really his place, maybe in a situation or whatever the case might be. But he was just always there, always present, always seen. And he just really wanted everybody to be happy, everybody to know that they were loved. And I think that just says a lot about him.
When I think about Jesse, what I think about is how big he loved. If Jesse loved you, there was no doubt that he loved you. Every time he saw you, it was, I love you. It was when he left, it was, I love you. With a big hug. I love you, Miss Deanna. I love you. So it was his bigness. It was how much he loved. He loved his people. He loved his Jesus. And he was not ashamed of either one. He was not ashamed to hug you in public, and he was not ashamed to talk about his Jesus. I love y'all.
Super excited for Jade's album. I know it's going to be awesome. I just remember being young and in church with Jesse, and he always wanted to include you and make you feel like you were a part, even though he was a little bit older than me. He always treated me like family, and more importantly, he treated me like a little brother. So looking forward to the album, and I'm excited to hear it.
One of my favorite memories with Jesse would probably be pancake surprises and ping pong. But more than anything, it was that Jesse always looked out for me. We were a friendship that I guess wasn't well known because we were neighbors, and I would go over to his house a lot and after school. But we spent a lot of time together in between school rides, to and from school, and just after school. And ultimately, if I had one thing that I had to say about Jesse, it was that he believed in the gospel of Jesus Christ. He believed in his death, burial, and resurrection, and he believed in the power of his saving grace. And I think he knew that I was more capable of serving and being a child of God than the things that I was going through in high school. But he was a light in my life, and I just, if there's any way that I think that we could honor Jesse, let's give your life to Jesus. Live for Jesus. That's how we honor him. I miss him every day, and he was a special person for me.
To know Jesse was to truly love him. He had the remarkable ability to brighten every room he entered. He was the fun-loving, outgoing life of the party. Some of my most cherished memories with Jesse date back to our elementary school years. Each morning, when we lived on Woodlawn Street, my mom would drop me off at his house so I could ride to school with him and Jade. I can vividly remember walking in most mornings to find him enjoying breakfast while Jade strolled through in the kitchen with her beautiful curly hair. We would giggle and laugh until it was time to head out. Another memorable moment was Friday nights at Kids Night Out. Jesse was delightfully energetic, but one night he had an accident on the bars, which led him to needing brain surgery. He handled it like a true champion. I remember visiting him at home with a group of friends after he returned, and Jesse never allowed that setback to dampen his spirits. He was always ready for the next adventure. Jesse, we know that your journeys in heaven far exceed the ones you experienced here on earth. We eagerly await the day we can see you again. With love, Randy.
From the first time I heard that cry in the OR, it was just, my heart melted. I never knew there was a love that existed like that. And I guess if I had to say what's my favorite thing about Jesse, it's the way he loved other people, because Jesse loved people well. It didn't matter if you were a guy friend or a girlfriend. He would hug you and kiss you on the cheek. And I guess that's probably what I miss the most about Jesse. I miss those hugs. He would hug you with every fiber in his being. Everything Jesse did, he did it with all he had. He gave it his whole heart and all of his might. And so I think about that in heaven, without human limitations. What is that boy doing? And I know that Jesse is so proud of you, Jade, for doing this album, for all the hard work you've put in this, for the way you help other people with your music, for this portion of the album that is honoring him. Your father and I are very proud of you as well. You and Jesse are the best thing that Leonard and Sheila has ever done.
It's not real easy being Jesse Witt's dad and then reflecting back, trying to pick out one's particular time or favorite memory. Sheila and I and Jade have had thousands of memories with Jesse Witt. From the time he was born, he was supposed to be a girl, by the way. The nurse yelled out, "It's a boy," and I teared up. Him influencing the family to do things that probably we would never have done. Very influential guy, as most of y'all have indicated. We'd have never started riding dirt bikes if it weren't for Jesse. Poor little Jade riding her little dirt bike off a cliff nearly. I never would have started deer hunting if it wasn't for Jesse. Never thought about it. Now I cherish those days out in the woods thinking about him. Him killing his first deer was really cool, finally, after sitting out there all weekend in the freezing cold. Him killing 2 bucks on Alabama-Auburn Day one year, that was not so cool that day, but it ended up being one of the highlights of his lifetime. Going to all the Alabama games together, fishing, tournaments. Me and him and JG, as JG described in his video, spooning on the bed one night when it was about 6 degrees below zero. And Jesse and I cuddled up in there, a teenage boy with his dad just trying to stay warm. Poor old JG's out there on the couch freezing because we had no heat. That was a fun night. Working out together with Jesse there towards the end and talking about life and his relationships with boys and girls. He really just loved everybody like everybody's describing. And there ain't nobody on this planet misses Jesse Witt more than me. I'm driving this truck to work every day. As some of y'all might recognize this old truck, I still drive it every day. And just think of him every day. We miss you, Jesse, of course. We love you, Jade, for making all this happen. And just please don't ever forget Jesse Witt.
Okay, so you've all probably heard enough from me at this point, but I'm just gonna close this out by saying thank you to everybody who sent in videos and shared. Like, you have no idea how much that means to me. I'm sure my parents as well. Just to see you guys still remembering Jesse. I don't think I even realized that you guys still thought about him. Maybe it's just me and my parents carrying around this grief, but it's obvious that he made a huge impact on almost everybody he interacted with. And so I can't tell you how amazing it's been to see these videos and to be reminded of that and know that, and just the way that you guys do remember him in your daily life and just cherish him. That's amazing. So thank you for contributing to that and letting us know about that. I am going to say a little bit more. I just really miss and love the way that Jesse was the cool older brother, popular, whatever, but he still always like invited his little sister to do everything. Like he asked me to hang out with him and his friends like all the time. So I just think that's cool that typically an older brother is like too cool to hang, but he always invited me, included me, and we just like hung out like friends a lot. And then that just kind of shows his genuine, like pure love. Like he didn't care what people thought. He just loved to be with me because I'm his sister, and also I am pretty cool, so whatever. But he would be the first one to tell me how I'm weird and make fun of me for this, that, and the other. So we'll get that straight. But anyway, I often like look back at his Instagram because like half of the posts are about me and how he loves me and he thinks I'm cool. So not only is that just good to look back and see that like unconditional love from only like what a sibling can give you, but also the way he broadcasted out there how much he loved me. He didn't care what people thought. That's another thing about Jesse. He didn't really care what people thought too much about him. Maybe to a fault. But anyway, yeah, so thank you guys for everything, for listening to my music, for just supporting us, supporting the Witt family, and keeping Jesse's memory alive. We love you. Thank you so much.